going on, y'all? Welcome to the Pioneer podcast. I'm your host, Kai Davis, and today I am here with Michael and Ardolia.
Hello.
All right, how y'all doing today?
Not too bad, man.
Not too bad.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. All right, keeping it on up. All right. Now, start off. I just want to I just want to ask you some stuff, Michael, because I heard that you recently went on this ghost tour. You went on this little exploration recently.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm trying to remember his name. He works here. I'm pretty sure he's some professor over there at VPAC, and he does these tours. He's been doing them for a while now, for years, and he's even got a book written about it. And this tour in particular took us to, it was in Norman, and it was the train station there. I'm trying to remember its name, but I can't exactly. But the point of this story was that some of Al Capone's men showed up there trying to run away after, he was going under. And then they hid their money and stashed it all over the city, and apparently some of their bodies are on the outskirts of Norman as well. And then there was another story which I thought was super interesting, was this Lake Thunderbird octopus thing. And it was apparently these legends that goes back hundreds of years, even Native Americans have talked about it before. And it was this tentacle monster thing that's apparently the size of a horse. So it's apparently been bringing trying to pull people down. And I asked my dad about it, and he even said that an old friend of his was swimming in Thunderbird, and he can remember the same thing, something trying to wrap around his leg. And he said his friend was on a tube in the middle of the lake, and he was standing on top of it until someone with a boat came and got him. Something tried to grab him, apparently. But the idea of an octopus in a freshwater lake is pretty interesting, because those are saltwater animals usually. And it's also a man-made lake, so I'm not sure how that could happen. But, even Native Americans were talking about that story for hundreds of years. And on that tour, he went into that, and I thought that story in particular was really interesting, especially after my dad told me his little experience with the same thing.
No, that's crazy.
And that one guy, I can't remember, but he does tours all throughout the month as well, so there'll be more.
Nice. But whenever you went on that tour, man, I heard that you had seen I guess some ghost spirits. You've heard stories on Bigfoot and that story with the lake too, man. It's it's all those are all that sounds creepy, man. Did you get the jitters?
Yeah, a little bit, especially when it started. And then something about the Bigfoot thing you mentioned was how Oklahoma was #1 for Bigfoot sightings, and that he talked about different types of big feet, whatever the plural form of Bigfoot is. And so I guess there's different subspecies to the species that I was unaware of. But it was, especially when he said, Oklahoma apparently has the most sightings. So
that is crazy, though.
you go out in the woods, get beat by a gorilla man, or go in Thunderbird and get pulled under by an octopus, dude.
Those are freaky.
Happy home.
But with all that, with the haunting of the spirits and everything that, with all the hauntings and all that, how do you think those places became haunted? Do you think it was just based on the stories that you were told, those spirits just forever being there, or what's your ideology on how places get haunted?
I'd say it's really based off each individual's psychology and their worldview, because some cultures will look at, say, a demon as not an inherently evil thing, and then other cultures, you say demon, bro, and they chase you out of the room, you know what I mean? So it really comes down to each person's perspective on a haunting, because it's very psychology.
That makes sense. What do you think, Ardolia?
What I think is sometimes things can't be we ain't got a definition of things, and sometimes, it could be spirits, it could be all type of things out there that we don't know about, because everything is not explored, you know what I'm saying? So it could be out there. I never doubt it.
And another thing about spirits and ghosts is whatnot is that, like what Ardolia says, we're just not exactly sure what a spirit is. You know what I mean? So saying something is haunted or whatnot can get tricky because we know we're just lacking on a lot of information. You know what I mean? Just what exactly it is. Like there is nothing we can point to and be like, that's a soul or that's a ghost. You know what I mean? It all comes down to what the individual wants. Unless one day we figure out what it is, but hopefully.
I could see that. I could see that for sure. For sure. Man, speaking of ghost sightings and Bigfoot sightings, Ardolia, I have some questions for you on that subject. So you've done some research on like the different technologies and the different various ways of finding Bigfoot and ghosts. What have you come up with?
Well, I wanted to share a few low-tech items, you know, for people that don't have deep pockets. You know, you could use your cell phone, some talcum powder, even a baby monitor could help you. You know, you can sit in one room talking, and hopefully you can pick up some voices in that room.
Right. So with that,
for the people that have, you know, a little bit of deeper pockets, you'll need a spirit box that range from anywhere from $20 to $200. Some low tech items that you can use to do ghost huntings with your friends is number 1, talcum or baby powder. Number 2, your cell phone. Number 3, you could use a baby monitor, put it in one room, talk through the monitor, and hopefully you'll pick up some voices. If you have deeper pockets, you can go into things like a spirit box that range from $80 to $200 on Amazon. An EMF meter that detects, you know, electric pulses going higher in the room and stuff. That's usually connected to paranormal activity. Those range from $1,000 to $4,000.
That's very very pricey. But
infrared camera, like that got the 4G, that's gonna range from $1,000 to $4,000.
It's crazy. Like, what do you think would be? Do you feel like there's we all have differences within our pockets and such, like stuff we wanna use but can't necessarily afford. Do you believe that in the idea of quantity versus quality? Do you believe you can still you can still succeed in finding ghosts with either or?
Yeah, I think you still can succeed, and I think the lower quality items is for people that's not really into it. But if people are really dedicated to it, you're going to invest into it to get results.
That is facts. That's facts. That is very valid. You can get, so with that, do you believe you can get accurate information with cheap equipment?
Yeah, I think you get accurate information depending on how lucky you is, you know?
Yeah, I can agree with that. What are your thoughts, Michael? Like, how do you think you would go at, like, taking this advice from Ardolia, him pointing out all this equipment that you could use, how would you go at it?
And something that I thought was interesting was the infrared cameras.
Yeah.
Even though they were expensive. And it also made me wonder if there were, say how there's like infrared, or they're like ultraviolet cameras. There are, really. I'd have to look into those. Looking at different spectrums of light would be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I could do that. I didn't think of that.
I'll say, if it's worth the time, would you put in the money in the piggy bank?
Yeah.
That's
I had the means to make it happen, I definitely.
For sure. All right.
If you're having fun with it, I wouldn't invest in it. If you really are serious about it, I would invest in it.
That's valid. That is very valid. I'll say, because you wouldn't want to make one purchase that's gonna put you in like a pit. all just for one time. But with all that though, with the technology that you pointed out, would you put that same technology towards finding Bigfoot, or do you think there'd be a different method to that?
I think there's a bunch of low tech and high tech ways you can catch Bigfoot. But most of the time, people caught them with low tech things like your cell phone camera is always blurry, or somebody will go out in the woods and do signs or knock on woods and get a call back. You know, that's low tech.
That is true. That is very true.
They caught it 1 minute. They caught it walking, and what a lot of people didn't know with the advance in technology, a lot of people now starting to realize that it was a female creature that was walking on 2 feet. You turn around, you can see the chest and everything.
Oh. I'm really curious how Bigfoot was made. I'm genuinely curious about how Bigfoot was made. Nature. It's just an overgrown ape.
Like I said, there's a lot of things that haven't been explored. You know, you got 80% of the oceans that have not been explored, and they're finding new species of things every day.
That is true. That is very true. Some of them don't even have names. But new tech, low tech, high tech, either way, the people that want to find them are definitely going to search towards the end of that. And with that though, there's also the way that you mentioned the tech and like old tech and new tech to find these various beings. There's also, I'm just taking it like a different way, but there's also that tech that's used in movies too. The way that it's like evolved over time, how it's like old tech and new tech.
Well, like you got a lot of CGI in these new horror movies today, and I think that really takes away the factor from the viewer, because Gen X, their horror movies, you know, everybody did anything. It was very, very little special effects. It was more props, like a bloody knife, a mask, whatever. So it left the impression in your head like, hey, Jason could be at this next camping trip that I'm at, or Candyman could be in my bathroom waiting for me. With these new movies, it's CGI. You never really get to see the thing, so you never get that personal connection with the villain, or that personal connection with the person the villain is after.
That is true. That is very true. Do you believe there are any newer movies that are better than the original as of today?
No, I don't think there's no newer movies better than the originals. It's CGI, you know, so it's more suspense than it is really luring the viewer to comfortable, and then somebody coming and killing, a person. You know, nowadays is with the eerie music and stuff. Nowadays it's all CGI. You don't really see anything.
Yeah, that makes I can see where you're coming from with that. Like you prefer like you enjoy more the suspense factors, like the imaginative like parts versus like the gore and like everything that adds on to it, taking away from its originality.
Yeah, I like the gore. I like how the old Jason movies was. Somebody getting slashed up, Freddy Krueger, somebody getting slashed up. I like that type of stuff because it was more realistic. You know, you'll have things now in movies. You feel me? Somebody getting their head punched off. Like, come on, man.
Like killer clowns from Outer Space.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. But you know, with movies like Candyman, they played on people's superstitions. Like when I was a kid, it was a thing that you didn't say Bloody Mary in a mirror, just like Candyman, you know. Chucky, the good guy dog, you feel me? Everybody had a dog that they were scared of in their toy collection, you know, and touch on more reality.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. But how do you...
Like Friday the 13th, everybody went camping before, you know. And like even it, because you know when I was growing up, clowns was synonymous with entertainment, circus, but making balloon animals. You feel me? Now today, everybody's scared of clowns. You know what I'm saying?
Valid. Yeah. How do you feel about this, Michael? Though, like,
there is another side to it I want to bring up, and that is the cost of CGI and just the cost of making movies in a modern day sense in general is just astronomically high. And if people were to go back to more old school ways of making movies, they could make better movies at a cheaper price. So it's makes a better movie, and it's more practical. And I just wanted to bring up that business side of film that doesn't get talked about a lot.
That does.
Now with CGI, it's multi-million-dollar budgets you need now.
Valid. You bring up a really good point with that too. Yeah, but with that though, do you think there are any newer movies that are better than the original?
No, I'm gonna go with Ardell. That's a high standard thing, you know. To outdo, I'm just speaking in circles. To outdo the original is difficult, you know. So it's just kind of not surprising that they weren't able to, especially with how their methods are different, you know. So you know, it feels more like they've tried to just create something totally different, you know what I mean, as opposed to trying to do a remake or something like that, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. I think remakes is more about the money than it is about trying to get an audience, you know, scared or whatever. It's more about making money. So, you know, you have a cult classic in the 90s like Candyman that didn't really have any big part 2 movies, you know. Then all of a sudden, you redo it in this century, you know, and you thinking it's going to be the one you saw in 94, and it's not. They say the Candyman, and you don't even get to see him killing nobody. It's an invisible person. But in the original one, you said Candyman, he appeared right behind you.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. And to expound on that, it's like the new Chucky movies as well. Because like back then, whenever it seemed like it was more like, it looked more like claymation, but at the same time they had more of like, they had an actual doll.
Yeah.
And then like the movies now and like the TV show now, it's like, it's mostly just like, yeah, just CGI.
Yeah.
And them just like, I guess, playing around with dolls in front of a green screen.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. It's no emotional connection to the audience. So, you know, you're not really getting no cult classics. That's why they got to keep going back and try to redo stuff.
Yeah, you do make a really valid point with that. And with that, there comes like the idea of like films versus reality. So if these situations were to have happened, do y'all feel like these movies truly depict what it could be like in real life?
I think movies like Halloween does, because there's a psychiatric house everywhere, and there's always a psycho patient breaking out of those. So I think it really touched on something, a real life thing that can happen. You feel me? Even Friday the 13th, there's all type of weirdos in the woods, you know?
That's very true. You bring up a really valid point with that. How about you, Michael?
Man, he pretty much said everything I was planning on saying. No, I think Artolia summed it up. That was what I was going to say.
I was gonna say, what movies do y'all think? What movies do y'all think do a really good job at this? Like you mentioned Halloween. What do you think?
Man, Insidious actually, because that talked a lot about like astral projection and stuff, and that was something that doesn't get talked about in reality a lot because it's the stigma behind it being, you know, fake, I guess. But that was something that, you know, can happen in real life if you wanted to, and they depicted that I think pretty well too. And they made it very psychological, I think, and a lot of fear in reality is very psychological when it comes to demons and ghosts because you're not actually going to see it, you know what I mean? So someone making a movie about demons and ghosts where you're not exactly seeing it could work, you know what I mean?
That is true.
But then something with, say, Jason or Candyman, you know, that could be different because those are like actual people, you know?
Even The Exorcist, you had an entity take over a girl, you know, so I think that's what really put the in the horror part of the movie, because you're like, damn, it's a demon that took over this girl.
Yeah, and exorcisms used to be pretty common too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they still do today, actually, just not as much. So there's some reality to that as well.
That is true. Also, have y'all seen The Black Phone? It just, man, it just came out recently, and honestly, on a psychological aspect, it really is kind of scary. Just because, like, kids get kidnapped every day and don't turn up. So it's like, it's just like, yeah, it's just freaky.
No, I think it's touching on a real life thing, because especially if you got kids, you know, it's a possibility somebody could take your kid and you don't know where it's at. So I think those type of movies actually play on real life scenarios, because that's every parent fear. They're not be able to find their kid or don't know where their kid at.
That is true. That is very true. But with that though, yeah, and there are definitely a lot of movies that cover those different, not even necessarily just paranorms, but just like real life situations that would just be really scary to be involved in. And with that though, I'm actually gonna circle this back to Bigfoot though. Are y'all scared of Bigfoot?
No, not exactly.
No, I'm not scared of Bigfoot.
I got a gun, he doesn't.
That's so true though.
Well, what is your gun really gonna do to a 1,000-pound ape with muscle?
Right. Does he got hands?
He likes some slugs for that.
Man.
Yeah, I think it's a chance that it does exist, because you got eyewitnesses all over the world. And the Patterson tape, even though with the new technology, that it still haven't been debunked.
Yeah, that is true.
And that tape is a half a century old. It still have not been debunked.
I never really thought about it like that. But with that though, there's also there are those people out there that like to make a mocking of Bigfoot, because it's like, ooh, we've talked about him for so, we talk about him for so long, like this and that about Bigfoot. And it's just kind of funny, because some people here at some alumni here at OCCC, they actually made a movie kind of making fun of those people that found Bigfoot. Or not necessarily found Bigfoot and not making fun of them, but kind of like a mockumentary style. Like a mockumentary style film.
People make mockumentary style movies off of Christianity, all type of stuff. But my thing is this video takes place in the mid-50s, right? Where he was the man. You feel me? The man. So it's kind of difficult for me to believe that a man is going to put on a female gorilla suit that got female parts and walk around. It doesn't make any sense.
I was about to say, I don't think it'd be too scary to run into Bigfoot like that. Nor would it be freaky to run into a female Bigfoot. It's
That'd be really interesting. I mean, the only exception would be if, say, it's just sprinting right at you. That'd be pretty freaky.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
If I saw something like that at distance, it'd be really interesting and exciting more than anything, I think.
That actually kind of reminds me of a scene off of the movie Get Out. Whenever the guy, he was like, have y'all seen Get Out?
Yeah, I've seen it
once.
It's super.
I don't remember much.
Man.
I've seen it.
But there was a part where the main guy, he's just standing out in the field trying to find something, and then the soldier that was at the house, he just starts taking off running out of nowhere. He's just doing a full sprint towards him. He just runs right past him. Yeah. But yeah, but if they just come running at you, it's what are you gonna do?
I'm thinking,
climb a tree?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't think it's really too scary to bump into any type of wild animal unless it's hungry and you're not respecting it. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, if you keep your distance, there's no reason for a Bigfoot to come for you. But I think they do play little games pick up food, bananas and stuff and eat it, probably throw a rock in your camp, but I don't think it's to scare people. I think they're trying to communicate.
That makes sense. Could just be underdeveloped live cavemen or something like that. Yeah.
That's interesting though.
Yeah. Well, with that though, I'm curious, what are y'all's favorite scary movies?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. My favorite scary movie is Candyman. I like Hellraiser, but it got to be older movies. It can't be the new stuff. You know, I like The Exorcist. I like Candyman. I like a lot of scary stuff, but I just don't like new millennium scary movies.
What do you think about The Ring?
I thought The Ring was pretty good because it had that suspenseful person. You know, you had a TV. Everybody watched TV. You know, everybody watched videos. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that was really on the head where it could be something that could really happen. You feel what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. They had that suspense there, just like The Grudge. You feel me? You got the antagonist there. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not no invisible person.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Those are probably like mid-2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say The Ring would probably be my favorite scary movie.
The Ring is a really good movie.
It's a great story.
And not only that, it was scary. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody had videotapes in their damn house. You know, so it had a TV, so it is scary. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It wasn't no invisible entity.
That's how they pretty much, that's like connecting to whenever you're talking about the new tech too. It's like that's how they found all the spirits in the house too, with
Exactly.
technology.
But I just think that The Ring, The Grudge, those are the last of their movies. You know, now everything is CGI.
Yeah, no.
Right. With that though, I feel like honestly, my favorite scary movie, some of them are more like thrillers, like Us, Get Out. Those two are really good. Child's Play is probably my favorite series, along with the Saw series. The Saw series is pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because I think besides The Ring and The Grudge, The Saw is the last movie that really captured audience. Because you could get kidnapped and stuck somewhere and somebody do want you to cut your damn leg off. So I think it really touched on real life stuff. You feel me?
Right.
And it's not no invisible person. You see people baby themselves to get free. And that's real life. What price would a person pay for their freedom?
That is true. What would you do to keep yourself like steady? Like how much do you care about your life?
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's like the people that are reckless with it just won't earn it back. But it's crazy though with that puppet though. Like the depiction of real life in scary movies though, it's kind of like the same thing with like Final Destination low-key. Because it's like if you get in a car wreck, it's like you can get much more messed up. But it's even more played on the idea of that your future is already determined.
I think. Have y'all ever heard of this movie called The Puppet Master?
I've heard that.
I've heard.
Okay, so it's about it's this dude. He makes dolls, and the dolls are possessed. They go around killing people. You feel me? And I think that's what Saw was, but he was making you kill yourself. But you know, it had like you said, a puppet man. So I think Saw is a cross from Puppet Master to touching in real life stuff. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. It's like the reversal of the roles, where the puppet doesn't perform for the person, but the person performs for the puppet.
You got it right on the head.
Man. But what would you say is the scariest movie that y'all have seen?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. The scariest movie I've seen is Candyman. I'm gonna keep it real. The first one, not the new one. Because I'm gonna tell you why it was scary. Because when I was growing up, we didn't really have too many black serial killers. And to have a person that was black just killing people for nothing, that was a whole scary thought all by itself.
I could see that, sure. How about you, Mike?
The scariest movie for me was the first Grudge. And dude, I watched it. I didn't even finish, man. I was like 10 years old. I was way too young to. I don't know what my mom was thinking. It's because what got me was all the like that sound she makes or something. You know what I mean? She got to make some groaning noise, and then there was some thing that like had no jaw and its tongue was hanging out. That movie's freaky.
What about the movement she was doing?
Yeah, she was like shaking her head, shaking, and
Walking backwards and stuff.
dude, it was too much for my brain, dude. And what got me the most about it, I think why it scared me so much, is that it was just so abnormal. You know, with a guy like Jason, as scary as that is, I can at least like fight back against that. I don't know what I'm doing against Freddy, bro.
Now you see what I'm talking about, that personal connection. It birthed the seed in his head at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
I didn't even finish it. It was so scary to this day. I still haven't finished it.
It birthed his brain. That's what horror movies of today is lacking.
Yeah, that little extra, just that spice on there, and not just necessarily just gore and blood and all that.
It's all about money now. It's not art no more. It's all about money. Let's just put it out there and see if we can. Let's put it out there and see if we can sell 50 million tickets. That's what it's about now. Back in the days, the movies was more about art.
That is true. That is very true. Yeah, it's like more about the aesthetic rather than the actual elements.
Exactly. It's all about a paycheck.
Yeah. But sum this off though, which one do y'all prefer? Do y'all prefer horror or thriller?
I prefer both. It just depends on the setup. If it's more personal, okay, I'll prefer it. But I do not want no CGI. You know what I'm saying? That to me turns off the whole horror movie.
And no, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'll go with thrillers. I'll probably watch those more often. Because some horror movies just scare me so much. I don't bother with it, honestly. But thrillers, they can get you very excited without giving me a bunch of jump scares. You know what I mean?
It's just like more like the chills.
Yeah. I like that sort of the excitement. Yeah, and the chills you get from. Man, those jump scares mess with me. I can handle it, but I ain't too big on movies. You know that just rely so heavily on jump scares. That's something about that.
I could see that for sure.
Because jump scares can be good when the timing is right. You know, it's not something you want to do.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I go with thrillers.
Would you consider The Grudge a jump scare?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
That's a jump scare. I'd say that's a jump scare for sure.
Those things mess me. That jaw one is too much. No jaw and that giant tongue. That's still.
Yeah. In my opinion, though, honestly, I gotta go for just straight horror movies, though. Like, I want to watch something that's gonna make me stay up at night because I don't want to go to sleep.
That's what horror movies about, bro. That's what it's supposed to be about.
Yep.
You supposed to not be able to want to go to sleep, no matter how old you are.
And it's a good one.
And with that, gotta give a shout out to Nightmare on Elm Street. Have to give that shout out.